There we go. All right. Let me make sure there's no one waiting in the waiting room, and I don't believe so. So I think we have everybody that's going to attend. But as I just now started the recording, so Dave, you'll be able to offer this and put this online, and send it to your customers that haven't that weren't able to attend tonight. But anyways, Todd and Blake, we're the two major principals that run this company, and this company started in 2019. So what we're here to do is talk to you about RJ45 terminations and the value behind them, right? And the reason why it's important to really have a very stable network, and your systems and your equipment's only going to work as good as your system or the install that you're putting in. So this is very critical. So first thing we're going to do is tell you about us a little bit. We are very focused on this business. This is what we do every day. We focus in on low voltage products. We focus in on, terminations. We're not just a tool company that does many different things. We are really focused on trying to bring very focused products for this industry. So, and as I mentioned, the brands that we have are Simply 45 and the Dongler, which is an HDMI AV adapter that we'll talk about after the Simply 45 presentation. And then our partnership, we work with distribution, and so Dave's our distribution partner for Scotland, and he's doing a great job promoting and doing things. And we're going to show you some of our unique patents. We've been in this business, like we said, for 20 plus years. So we focus on this business. It's not a hobby. It's definitely something that we take a lot of pride in delivering, high quality terminations. And logistically, we have, products there in the UK as well as in the US. We have two distribution outlets as well. So enough about us. Oh, there's Todd and Blake, so we want to tell you a little bit about the company. So Simply 45 is a US company. We started in 2019, and we manufacture patented solutions for you, the installer, right? As Dave says, AV products for our installers for AV Okay, wait a second. I know it. AV products by installers for installers. There we go. We got it. And so we actually created standards that is, overlooked by other alternative products, right? And I think that's really key. And as we go through this presentation, hopefully you'll see the benefits and the value adds that we have done with this product, right? And it's like, okay, how can you make something? It's a little tiny piece of plastic. How can you get excited about this? Well, let me tell you what. Someone told me if you're going to be good at something, go all in. And I tell you what, that little piece of plastic is money to everybody. I mean, if you don't have the right piece of plastic, that's where problems can start to happen for sure. But anyway, so this is Blake and Todd. This is who we are. You can follow us on LinkedIn, by the way, if you want to get more information on our background. Feel free. We'd love to chat with you. But one of the things we want to talk about initially is understanding your cables, right? What's actually going on here, right? Before even we come into the mix, right? One of the things that you need to recognize, and what happens with category cable, essentially every time you are cutting the cable, you're creating a opportunity for a point of failure, right? So it's a weak spot. So one of the things you want to do is minimize those weak spots, right? And really enhance that with the proper termination. So what we're going to do is show you what you want to make sure that you have good quality terminations on all ends, right? So Roy was kind enough to put this together. And by the way, Roy is Leggett. He's our sales representative for Simply 45 in the UK. So sorry I missed that introduction, Roy, but he was kind enough to say, hey, it's nice to let people understand, different technologies out there in cable, right? There's untwisted pair, unshielded untwisted pair. There's foil untwisted pair. There's unshielded foil twisted pair. And, there's shielded foil twisted pair, which is a combination of the different things. And these are manufactured for various reasons, which, we got a few more people coming in. I'm going to admit them. Sorry. And, one of the things that we do is we manufacture connectors to work with all these different platforms. So In each one of these cable, I'm not here to give a cable lessons, but I want to let you know that we have technology for all these different platforms, right? Roy is a good person to talk to about cable. So one of the things that, we look at, not all connectors are created, and poor cable termination is probably one of the most common problems why an install can fail, right? And so one of the things here, I'm going to kind of show you what we've done different to kind of improve on these 6 points of failures, right? And so maintaining continuity is really key. There's we use the term, hey, what would happen? It was working yesterday, but it's not working today. That's a continuity issue, right? And as well as connectors not designed for the applications that you're typically installing, right? So here I gave you 2 points: maintaining continuity and a connector not designed for PoE applications, right? So I'm going to show you what we've done there to help improve that. So one is, a lot of the connectors out there use a 2-prong style contact, right? Which is designed to work with standard or solid and stranded conductors. But what happens with a 2-prong contact, it is designed to straddle over a solid conductor, right? But what happens is, if that cable the conductor might be a little undersized, and it could slide to one side or the other, or maybe even stack on top of it. That's why you might see some inconsistencies in pin heights when you're crimping a connector. And what that does, it's probably making connection, but it's not a solid connection. And what happens is, any kind of cable moves could create a disconnect. It can also, that's where you would lose, it would intermit, or it could actually lose signal. But in PoE applications, it's got a lot more ramifications to where it actually can overheat and short out the actual equipment that you're plugging into it. So one of the things that we did is we designed a 3-prong contact. There it is in the bottom right-hand corner. And it's a 3-prong style with the offset middle prong. And it's designed to kind of locate and grab that solid conductor every time. Even if it is a little slightly undersized, it's going to locate it and grab it. And then obviously 3 points of contact is a lot stronger than 2. And what that does, it creates more of a rock solid connection, and it eliminates the things that we were identifying with 2-prong contacts. And then even some 3-prong contacts are straight in line, and this is another problem that also works very similar to the 2-prong. It could still miss it. So just because it says it's a 3-prong contact, there are some variations there. So what we've been able to determine is, with our contact design, it is more stable and more of a requirement for the PoE standards in the industry. And as well as it gives you, what you're installing this equipment for is to provide the higher data speeds, that when you're going from Cat 5 to 6 to 6A, you want to make sure that your connector can pass these data transmission speeds. And this is what a simple little contact changes everything, right? So these are the things that we want to ensure by using our products, that you're going to get, reliability every time. So those are a couple of points of failure that happens. Another thing, a lot of installers don't use or don't maintain proper bend radiuses. I don't know if you've seen, let me see, I think I got a cable here, and I'll give you an example. Especially if you're in a patch panel or something like that, you're dragging your connectors and you pull them like this, and you'll see them kinked at the end of the connector. And what happens with that changes the entire impedance of the cable, and you're not going to get the bandwidth and the data speeds that you want out of that. So proper cable bend radiuses is another. Hey, there's your tagline, Dave. AV products for installers by installers. So what we're doing also is follow the bouncing fish. It's telling us what we're going to look at next, right? So here's the thing, and this is really important to an integrity of a network and the lifetime of a network, and it prolongs everything. But why do I need a strain relief boot, right? Strain relief boots are very important in protecting the integrity of the network. Like I just showed you, it maintains the bend radiuses. It does not allow that to happen and your cables to get kinked. And if you're doing any kind of certification and compliances, it's a call out, right? They're saying you need to maintain these bend radiuses, and strain reliefs are a great way to maintain that, especially in a patch panel and a large configuration. Another thing it also does is it eliminates stress on the connector pins themselves, prolongs the life of your network, and then plus ours are actually a snagless design, right? So it actually has this extended tab that slides up over here, and makes it easier to get these connectors out of a network patch panel or a network switch or whatever. So it does provide other advantages. But one of the things that I think is really important here is that we actually have the notch here in the strain relief boot. And what that does is it becomes an integral part of the boot itself. So when you lock down that the primary strain relief in the connector, what it does is it actually locks in with those notches right there. And then what it does is becomes literally part of the connector. Right now, here's one that's can pull apart, but then I've got one crimped here and I can literally not pull this thing apart, right? It becomes a true strain relief, like an overmold, like a molded piece of like it's part of the connector. And, so these are very key components to add to a network for sure. And just to point out, they're the same width of an RJ45 connector, so it doesn't add and take up extra space inside your patch panel or your network switch, right? So you're not losing ports, and that's another key thing that the overmolded slide-up boots do. It takes up extra space. So what's some of the other things, right? It's wiring sequence is obviously a problem, and minimizing the untwisted conductors. This is where you get near and far crosstalk and other things like that. So let's see what we've done to improve that. So pass-through connectors are obviously a great equalizer in this component, but I'm going to show you when we go into our full product mix that we've even simplified our standard mod plugs as well. But what we're doing here is we streamline the installation process. One, a pass-through connector, in case not everybody's familiar with this platform, it allows you to pass the conductors through the front end of the connector, and you can verify that you're in the correct wiring sequence. So what that does is it prevents you from miswiring a connector before you terminate it. A lot of times it's hard to identify if you've got that in the right sequence in a solid body connector. You're looking there and like, yeah, I think it's right, but they could cross inside the channel. But one of the other key things is even if you get them right, sometimes you don't get the conductors all the way to the front end of the connector. And when you crimp it on a standard mod plug, you just crimp the tips of the wire. And again, there's another opportunity for a failure down the road where it could disconnect later. So with the pass-through style, the wires going all the way through, when the pins come through, you're getting maximum copper on every pin. That's key for, stable connections. And then, again, with the pass-through series, you can really minimize the untwisted wire for the superior performance. These are the things that really eliminate the weak spots in a cable install, right? So I'm sure you've seen, different variations of installs with cables, and so these are things that we look at to try to help an installer improve in the market, right? So another thing that we're very proud of is the different standards that we've developed and created, products on our own, right? And I want to show you what we've done here. So one of the things that we did is that we manufacture every product with a polycarbonate. It's a low smoke, zero halogen component. So every one of our connectors are commercial rated, right? So that's not the case for everybody in the market, right? I don't know of very many people that have taken the expense to create plenum RJ45 or low smoke, zero halogen RJ45 connectors. But to us, we want to make sure, our reputation is your reputation, right? So if you're going in and installing our products and you have a building inspector say, hey, is everything on this cable low smoke, zero halogen rated, you can confidently say, yes, these connectors are, and whatever else you're attaching to it is, right? But we go to even beyond that, with our 3-pin contact style. We have, we're taking in all the considerations of PoE, PoE plus, PoH, which is HD base T. And you might see that there's a little logo at the bottom saying HD base T. That's something new that has just been recently announced, that we are the only HD base T approved connector for RJ45s for HD base T systems. So, and then we go into, the other components where, the nickel plating and the gold plating of the contacts just ensure long electrical performance long term. And that's where a lot of, because those, obviously gold's expensive, right? I mean, if you look at the stock market, you see it's a very expensive material to put on a connector. And that's where a lot of connector manufacturers cut corners, try to make it cheaper, right? And that's one of the things that we don't. So these all meet TIA standards that are, basically the governing body for cable installs, right? So we meet and exceed those standards. So now we're going to talk about Simply 45, and so that was kind of an introduction to what a lot of the uniqueness, but now we're going to talk about the breadth of the line and what we can offer. So right now we offer in pass-throughs and also in standard mod plugs. We have a range from Cat 5e to Cat 7a in shielded and unshielded, for unshielded and shielded cables, right? And again, we want to reemphasize the certifications that we have. It's very important. And then obviously HD base T is a key component and a great partner for us as and the testing that they did. And I'll go into a little bit deeper on valence here at the end, but they did a lot of evaluation and testing on this, and they were the only ones that been able to achieve these standards that they want to see. So now we're going to talk about some of the fun stuff, right? What makes us really unique is, even though this is not a product enhancement, it's more of a cosmetic enhancement, but it's really one that most installers really like the most about our product line is the color tinting of our connectors based on a category cable type, right? So you can see, like in the bottom, I'm sure everybody at the end of the day, they might have a bag full of connectors in their bag, right? Well, most of them are all clear or one color, and it's hard to identify the different ones. So that just gives you an example of one of the advantages that having color tinting will provide, right? So just to give you a sequence, the blues are typically for Cat 5, green are for Cat 6, the red would be 6 and 6A, and the yellow and orange would be 7 and 7A, right? So makes it very simple to identify what you have on your truck, because the packaging actually matches the connectors. So there's a lot of thought even in our packaging. So now we're going to talk about, and I don't know if anybody's got any questions. Let me just check the chats. I don't know if we have anything, but anyways, this is something exclusive that we've been able to develop. And the pass-through style connectors have been around for probably about 20 plus years now. Platinum Tools was one of the initial introduction of that product into the market in the US and as well as in the UK. And, but that the patents have expired on their initial products. So we've been able to go in and modify and reinvent a wheel, so to speak, right? And a couple of things that we've been able to do is, we have a really good understanding of how these products are being used. So we've really emphasized on fixing some of the major complaints that was being done with past RJ pass-throughs, and I'm just making an assumption here, and I know what they say when you do that, that's bad, but there's been, I'm assuming in a lot of cases that equipment manufacturer says do not use pass-through style connectors because of additional shorting, or they just don't recommend them. So I'm going to show you what we've done to enhance that. A lot of times with field plugs, field installable connectors, RJ45s in particular, you can't really work with large conductor cables because they just don't fit. And you can't, there's only so big of a cable you can put inside of a small connector. So I'm going to show you what we've done there. So the two technologies that I'm referring to here is the Cap 45 and the Bar 45. The Cap 45 is already patented. Bar 45 is pending, but let's just kind of go through what a Cap 45 is. Okay, so a Cap 45 is an isolation cap that snaps over the front end of a pass-through plug, covers the exposed wires, right? Very simple, right? So what that does is that it solves the problems with what a lot of the equipment manufacturers were scared about, is having two exposed ends. So like if I show you this connector here, you can see that obviously it has the bare copper ends on the end and as well as the contact. So that was one of the things that they've had in, prior experiences, that was a point of failure. So what did we do is we developed a cap that snaps over the front end of the connector, and it seals off everything entirely. So now you get the convenience of the pass-through, everything that I've already, discussed about, getting maximum copper on the pins and getting untwisted wire up as close to the contacts as possible, and easy wiring verification. Now so you got that convenience, and now you've got, with this simple cap 45 plug, now you've got the security of a standard mod plug. So that's why we invented that, and this is why we keep reinventing the wheel, so to speak. Now here's one of the bar 45s. The bar 45 actually consists of 3 different load bars, but this one is really unique, and this is for our standard mod plug. It is the for Cat 6. One of the things that we wanted to do, most load bars sit in front of the contacts, right? So you push the load, it helps you load it outside the connector, you push it in, and the contacts actually stop the load bar from going in, and then the conductors just pass through, right? Well, what we did is to really maximize the performance and minimize the untwisted wire. What we did is create an underneath the contact load bar, right? So you can see these came from our instruction sheet. So they're, how we train or instruct people to use the product. But basically, slide the load bar in, push it as far down to the untwisted wire as possible to minimize that twist, and then trim it with a flush cutter, and then you insert it into the crimp tool. And then you can see with the 2 illustrations here in figure 1 and figure 2, you can see how that load bar goes actually underneath the contacts. And then you can see, with the facing view, how close that untwisted wire is to the contacts, right? So that's where you really get your performance. And with the load bar, it actually does a little air separation to help eliminate near and far crosstalk. And that's where you have a lot of problems and that happens when you're trying to work with larger cables. It crushes the conductors, and then you start having bleed over into the next into the other pairs, and this is where near and far crosstalk, and this is where it destroys your install. So here again, the steps that I'm showing you is what we take into consideration to eliminate these potential problems that you might not even know exist, right? Not a lot of people talk about near and far crosstalk, but that's what it is. So here's another one of our load bars. This is a sled design, and you're going to say, wait, this is a bar 45 comes with a pass-through connector. Yeah, it does. And it's for a couple of reasons, right? One is, now when you start dealing with Cat 7, 7A, you're dealing with some large conductors, and now you're dealing with a RJ45, again, a small platform, right? Now you have to get the conductors I can't just leave them in a straight side-by-side pass-through configuration like most of them. So now I have to take them and stack them on top of each other, right? So now I got to get creative. And if you had to do that freehand, so to speak, it's hard to keep the integrity of those high-low staggered pairs in order. So the load bar is designed to help assist with the install, right? But it was designed for more than just a load bar to help load the conductors. It actually does what I was talking about earlier. It actually creates that air separation and gives you the isolation on each conductor to help eliminate that near and far crosstalk that most RJ45 connectors can't provide with 7 and 7A and larger cables, right? So that is the dual purpose of why the bar 45 is with a pass-through, one for helping for loading as well as just creating the higher performance overall, right? But this is actually, you can see you stagger it. The way we recommend people to load this one, you leave the stripe pairs longer than the solid pairs, and then they just slide through the bottom pair, then the top 4 will just follow right in line. It makes it easier to load. And then again, in this case, since it's a pass-through, you don't have to preset the actual bar itself. You don't have to push it all the way down to the jacket. Just leave it out to the tips of the wires. It passes through, and then when the tool crimps it, actually cuts it and crimps it, and like all other pass-throughs. So here's another patent that we have, and this is for our shielded connectors, right? We actually sell a shielded connector in pieces, right? And you're like, wow, why do we do that? Well, when you start dealing with large jacketed ODs or large ODs in cable jacket sizes, it makes it almost virtually impossible to insert it into a connector, right? So one of the first things we did was we minimized the overall length of an RJ45 connector to about half the overall length. And that's because you don't have to now put the jacket inside the cable into the connector itself. It will sit in right at the back end of the connector, right? So we're trying to minimize how much untwisted wire that's exposed, right? So instead of trying to push this entire big piece of cable into the connector, we're leaving it sit on the back end of the connector. And we also designed the connector to be half the size so it works with one tool. And I know we're going to talk about tools here, but this is another reason why we developed a half size tool or half size connector so it can work with a single tool solution. So when we get into the tool, you're going to really appreciate that we have a single tool solution for every connector we have. You don't have to invest in multiple tools, right? So that's really key. Now, another reason is, why is the shell separate, right? Well, the shell is separate because if you work with shielded connectors, a lot of times that tab in the back, the external ground tab gets in the way, and then plus your entire install is kind of blinded. You're only seeing on one side of the connector, and it makes it very difficult to make sure that everything is being seated properly. So one of the things that we do is eliminate those blind spots, right? So now you have 100% visibility when you're doing your install. Again, you can see the bullets here on the side. We're reducing the some minimal cable jacket insertion, and then the bar 45 helps you load it, which I've already explained that to you. And the cap 45 is obviously another feature, and it's not required. I mean, it comes in the jar. You don't have to use it. But if you're doing anything with POE, we strongly recommend using it, right? It's there for a reason. And then the metal shell just literally slides up like a strain relief boot and just snaps into place. And it's a very easy shielded connector to install. It's probably one of the most simply the best shielded connector in the market. So now I want to talk about, let's see, the tool, right? And I have a tool here. One of the things that I really appreciate about our tool is what I mentioned earlier is we've designed connectors to stay compatible with this tool. We're not here to try to have an installer have to invest in 2 or 3 different tools to work with a wider range of connectors, right? We look at it completely the opposite, without sacrificing performance or quality, right? But one of the key things that I think is you'll appreciate more about our tool is our handle is dual ratcheting. So what it does is it actually takes the contact driver and drives it equally into the contacts of the connector. As most crimp tools out there in the market, one handle is fixed, the other handle does all the work. So it kind of creates a pivot point there, and it doesn't really hit all 8 conductors at the same time. And that's why, as your tool has a little bit of wear on it, that's when you'll find that it might miss pins 1 or 8, or some of them start slipping as wear develops, right? And that's the result of how the crimp tool is designed. So with the dual ratcheting handles, it takes minimal hand force to do a crimp of a connector, and if you're doing many of these in a day, you're going to get hand fatigue. So this is one of the things that greatly reduces that. Again, this is all reinforced with steel, reinforced wrapped head. So that actually helps minimize the flexing that goes on inside the crimping die. And it's all about trying to keep, the integrity of the pins meeting the contact drivers and not having any shifting going on inside the cavity. So that's important. And then the blade itself is another patent that we have pending. And this is a cartridge style. It's not just a razor blade with a screw in it that can also flex, right? So we minimize flexing. We minimize any kind of calibration that's needed. It's kind of like a plug and play blade system. And it is just one screw, but it is a robust cartridge. It's, pretty sizable, and it snaps into place, and then you put the one screw in there. But what it does, it's set at a certain angle, and it's kind of tilted in a little bit to give you the ultimate flush cut when you are trimming the actual connectors, right? Or crimping and trimming at the same time. So A lot of advantages. We do have some new tools coming, a new tool coming out, and I don't have it, and I'm sure Blake doesn't have it
I
handy.
actually do one here at this event. If you want to give me like 1 minute, I'll be right back with it.
Yep.
And I can show it to you real quick.
And I think it's really cool because you can see how we continue to reinvent even products we have, because we listen to you, the installers, right? This is who tells us what needs to be done, right? And we try to, take, positive or negative, whatever complaints that come into the, we want to solve problems. That's what we do. And one of the things that's really cool that Blake's going to show you with the new tool was one of them, the complaints was, I never have a blade handy when I need it, right? Well, we solved that problem. We'll show you that. And then now that we've started introducing a lot of these strain reliefs, or not strain reliefs, but these new shielded connectors, people want ways to crimp the external die. So Blake, go ahead and show them the new tool.
All right, so here's the Pro Series. It's going to look very similar to what you saw, except it's got Pro Series on it. A couple of the features that we built into this tool, as you can see at the reinforced steel frame, we've actually notched it out so the connectors will lock into here, giving you additional rigidity when you're actually doing the termination. So again, it's all about high performance. It's also a locking tab on it, so it stays locked in your tool bags, so you don't have to worry about the ratchet opening. It's got the external crimp on the tool itself right here. You can see in this cavity, so you can do the wings on that external ground. And my favorite feature of this tool is built-in blade storage. So this clicks open, opens up, and you can see here that we have extra blades built right into the handles, so you can always have a sharp blade. Use your blades and then just buy another one from Dizzy and put it in here. And you always have what you need. So that will be the new tool that will literally launch this week sometime.
Yeah, we're still, we're probably, it's not going to launch till next week, but anyways, we'll have stock in the UK here probably in about 2 weeks, just guessing. I mean, it's pretty close, but anyways. But again, that tool that Blake just showed you and this tool that I have up on the screen, it's C100, and the one he showed you is C101, just in case you want to write that down, but it's exactly the same crimping system, right? So it will work with any tool we have. The 100 or the 101 will crimp every single tool, every single connector we have, whether it's shielded or unshielded, standard, pass-through, or just the Pro Series, right? So that's really key. But what we did is we've had, a lot of people ask for some enhancements, and we went out and developed them, like the tool lock and the locking connector into the tool to make sure it's seated properly, and obviously the blade. That's a really big one. So now we talk about, again, I've kind of reinforced that a few times that, our connectors work with one tool, but also now this is US related companies here. I haven't really done a lot of testing for the UK companies, but I know there's some alternative pass-through products out there, and I'm pretty confident that our tool will also work with their connectors, right? And not only will it work, but it will probably improve a lot of their performance as well, just because of the processes that we've put into play. So investing in the tool is a really good advantage, just rule of thumb, because the way the tool is designed. But Simply 45, all of them, Klein, Ideal, Platinum, works with all these connectors. Now, Platinum also has a new one, which is an EZ-EX. That's a different design. This tool will not work for that. And so I want to be clear on that, right? So, and, another key thing about tools, which is, the Klein and Ideal and Platinum, a lot of them, they've gotten rid of the ratcheting feature, right? And one of the things we think is very important, because it just really confirms that you have cycled the tool to the proper depth. So that way the pins are, it's about trying to create like certified terminations every time. And that ratcheting feature is a really key component to consistent terminations, right? So Dave wanted me to, bring up that, we have a lot of resources available for education for you and your customers, whatever. But one of the things that he's going to provide is this Now, this is just a condensed version of this, but this is a connector selector guide, which actually helps you identify. So one of the things that I'm backing up a little bit. One of the things that we've identified is that not just because it says Cat 5 or Cat 6 or Cat 7 on the connector type, a lot of times it's about the cable size, right? So the cable really determines what connector you can really use. So the cool thing about our connectors, they are forward and backwards compatible. The Cat 6 connectors will pass 10 gig. The 6A, so it's more about cable rating than it is connector rating. And sometimes that's a little hard for people to understand, but it's mainly about minimizing the untwist and the connector. So a lot of times you get a lot of the stranded Cat 6A that's coming out like 26 gauge and stuff like this. You're going to have to work with a Cat 5 connector that will accommodate that small of conductor range, right? So there's just different things right here. So, but what this does, this guide will help you identify and make the proper recommendations or create the right choices for whatever cable you're using, right? We do a lot of cables. So if you go to our simply45.com resources, that's where you'll find cable certification, these compatibility charts, connector guides. And when I say compatibility charts, one of the things that we're doing is building an extensive library of what this connector selector guide provides, right? It's like, let's say you're using a Belden cable or whatever manufacturer's cable, and it has these specs. We're creating this running list of compatibility saying, okay, here's your choices. Here's the connector options for this particular cable, right? So, and we're doing that for cable manufacturers here domestically. And one of the keys that we want to do is just, provide very good recommendations. And cable manufacturers want to provide the same thing. They want to make sure that their cable are not judged as a weak point in the whole install, right? And this is, we're seeing more collaboration going on with cable manufacturers, connector manufacturers, especially here in the US, of trying to come up with reliable terminations for their particular products. And we're seeing it now going with the OEM equipment manufacturers, now trying to work with cable manufacturers and connector manufacturers to develop standards that typically weren't out there. So this is kind of a recap of what we just kind of went over, right? So, one of the big things is that our product greatly reduces returns to the site. And that's what really costs you on so many levels, right? One, you lose credibility, right? Even, if you have to go back to a job site or a person's home or whatever more than one time because this was working yesterday, it's not working. I mean, the next job, you're probably not going to be recommended, or they're not going to word of mouth and probably provide you. So I always say, penny wise, dollar foolish, so don't try to cut corners where it's mostly needed, right? Do not create additional weak points in your installs, right? So this is, again, I mean, we're a connector manufacturer. Blake and I, we're considered connector nerds, because we take it down to such a detailed level that we want to make sure that things work proper every time, right? I mean, so your networks are our networks, right? I mean, because we're living on your network and we want to make sure we're never the culprit or the person to blame. So improved conductivity is huge, right? The true TIA standards to the highest material specs, we produce it at this. Technology like Cap 45 and Bar 45. And I didn't even talk about the dual arch design. That's another thing that we did on some of our Cat 6A connectors. We actually put dual arches, just like half moons on the inside of the connector. So that way it can accommodate larger cable sizes. That's another patent pending, right? But I think, in all reality, our connectors are designed how you're using them today and how you're installing the products today. And it's commercial rated. It's, it's flammability rating that no one else is really addressing, so we recommend our products obvious for any low smoke, zero halogen or plenum cable installs. Color tinting for easy plug identification. That's just like I said, it's a cosmetic enhancement, but it's, if you've ever had a bunch of connectors spilled in your bag, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then the improved crimp tool design is, the blade design, the synchronized handles, the steel reinforced head, and then obviously Blake and I, one of the things that we're very conscious about every time we develop something new is staying within this single tool solution strategy, right? So it's important. So I'm going to let Roy talk about valence because he was very key in helping us put this together. So Roy, if you don't mind, would you like to speak on this slide?
Yeah.
You're muted. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Hi guys. Yeah, I have a history with HD-based T, and the biggest failure that we found with various manufacturers was what we're talking about here. So when I approached Simply 45 and saw their tool and said, listen, I think this is great, they sent it to me. I spoke to the guys that I know at Valence and said, can you test this? And they said, yeah, send it to us. So Todd sent the stuff over, and they gave this stuff the best test they could possibly give it, because it is the weakest point for all their manufacturers. You know, if you buy Wirestorm, CYP, Pulsate, whatever it is, it's the same technology, just branded differently. So they tested this stuff out, and they came back to us and said they were just absolutely amazed that whatever they did, it was providing basically a lossless signal with these plugs on it. And that's why it's now in the situation where they've said, we'll put your tool up on our list of manufacturers on the HD-based T website.
All right. So thank you, Roy. So I want to this kind of concludes a little bit of the Simply 45, and I wanted to address some of the chats that we received. Blake, have you been reading them? I don't want to take the time. There's like 60 or 70 of them. Or Dave, someone chime in.
Yeah, I've been responding to everybody on there. So.
Oh, okay. Well, Blake, pull out some of the highlights here.
Well, did you see my text message that I just texted you?
Well, let me look at that. No, I've been a little busy if you haven't noticed, but
I thought you could multitask better than that.
yeah, I used to, but I'm old now. I can't do that like I used to.
Yeah, no, I think everyone's been very complimentary of the presentation and the products. And I was texting you to see if you wanted to, most of the comments in the later part of the chat were about the tool exchange program. And I wanted to see if you could end your presentation with a bit of a little boost for the attendees.
Well, what I will do for Dave and Roy do not know anything about this. So this is totally off the cuff, but we want to create a promotion with Dave, Simply 45, Roy being our sales consultant over there and our sales representative. What we want to do is create an opportunity to help everyone convert to this platform, right? And one of the biggest challenges we know is the cost of a tool, right? You know, you get a tool. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to offer, and Dave, you can put this out there, buy any 2 jars of Simply 45 connectors, and you will receive a free S45C100 crimp tool. How's that sound? You're muted, Dave. Did you pass out on me or what?
That's pretty amazing. I mean, that's a really, really, really good deal.
So, so you order the product from Dave, Dizztribution, and you order any 2 connectors and you'll get a free tool, and he'll add it to the box. And that is a promotion that Dave and Simply 45 is doing to help you, because we are that confident. I mean, yes, it's a pricey promotion, right? But to me, it's about, we believe in our products that much that we're willing to invest in you with free tooling. Because we know the long-term game is you're going to be a very satisfied customer, and we're willing to make that investment in your company. So it's more than just a promotion. It's about, helping you become, helping you with your quality of your networks, right? And we feel very passionate about that. And that's why we are willing to make that investment, Blake and myself. So, and Dave. So thank you. So
I must admit quickly to say, we've tried possibly every pass-through tool in the business. And when we tried this, we were absolutely stunned. So that is a cracking deal. And if anyone wants to take it up, you really should, definitely.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll work on you know, I know you're very good at your social media and you'll be able to put this out there. We'll work on that, but let's say it'll be something we can launch here, you know, maybe next week, right? Give us time to get it prepared and ready to go, but stay tuned, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if you want to take orders on it now, that's fine. But I'm just saying, let's get it promoted properly and where everybody understands the details, right? So.
So for the,
one quick
go ahead.
question: is it only for attendees or is it for anyone?
That's an interesting one, right? Because
I think these guys should be rewarded for being here.
well, let's go with the ones that are on the call. They get the first crack at it. And then maybe 30 days, 60 days, we reintroduce it to your rest of your customers, right? But let's let the people that are here now really get a super cracking deal, right? I think it's
I agree.
okay. I like your strategy. I would say this,
Nope.
even if the person couldn't attend that did sign up, anybody that signed up, just because they're not here today, I don't want to penalize them because there's lots of things. It's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night there. I don't want to, lots of things could happen. They could still be on the job. So, but if they signed up.
What do you think about this? So we've got some feedback on the chat saying, is that for the C101? And no, the 2 jars is just for the C100. However, I'd be willing to say if you buy 3 jars, we'll do a 101 for you.
Oh.
And that is 3 jars get you a 101, 2 jars get you a 100. But the 101 stock isn't in yet, so it's going to be a couple weeks before we could send you the tool.
I would say that just by limited stock right now, I would just stay with the 100. Now, if you want to pay an upcharge for the difference of the tool, maybe that's something you can do, right? I'm going to leave that up to Dave. That's why I said we got to work out the differences. But see, this is what happens when we introduce something on the fly. We don't have everything figured out and makes us look a little silly, but that's all right. That's who we are, man. We're impulsive. We like to get stuff done.
We're trying to give the people what they want.
We want to give them what they want. So what other, any quality issues or any other questions that we should address, Blake?
No, I think you did a great presentation, and it looks like most of the questions on the chat I've been able to answer. So you said that you're better than QVC. That's about as good as you can get in terms of
As
a high five for your presentation.
Oh, I'm just curious, is there, and it's going to be hard to answer, probably get an answer on this, but I'm just curious how many people are on this presentation that are actually using Simply 45 at this point, right? One? Is that just you,
2.
Dave? 2? Well, that's good. So we got a potential, a lot of new introduction to the Simply 45 brand, which we're really excited about then. So yes, we will get.
I suppose your real question would be if you asked the same question next week, how many would put their hand up?
Well, okay, well, that's a follow-up. You have to keep us in tuned on that through social media, Dave, for sure. So, all right, well, if there's no other questions on this, I'm going to talk about and just end on this really quick. And this is another product we have, and it's about a conference room solution product. And mainly what it is, it's an HDMI. Oh, crap. Didn't mean to do that. I do that every time I click and it opens up something. But anyways, what we've developed is some high performance HDMI adapter series that is converts HDMI to the connectors that are for devices that are used today to make presentations, right? And I will say this, we introduced this product right before the pandemic, and conference room solution products is not something you want to introduce in the middle of a pandemic because there's not a lot of presentations going on. But the whole concept behind the dongler is this adapter series that tethers all these adapters together and keeps them corralled and prevents casual theft, right? We call it casual theft because, someone makes a presentation that's still in their notebook or their laptop or whatever, and it gets packed up and goes with the presenter. But what it is, it's a simple plug and play solution to convert HDMI to like mini display port, Lightning for Apple products, and USB-Cs and USB-C for Apple MacBooks and things like that. So we have a whole series of custom adapters that, you know, it makes it easy to convert. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up. So we are more of a connectivity company than just staying focused on just one category. So we're trying to become more of a connectivity solutions. And this was, again, feedback that people are having issues with, you know, of trying to make presentations, right? And so we were addressing, and in this market here in the US, it's huge. I mean, there's so many install builds of conference rooms being built daily. It used to be, it's coming back. We also sell this adapter ring separately, so that way, you know, a customer could custom build any harness that they want. And there's a few examples of them. But what is really key about our adapters is that they are manufactured with a light craft aluminum housing. So it dissipates heat because our adapters themselves are rated up to 4K, 32 gigabits, you know, that's 8K in some rate. But what it does is, you know, if you're streaming 4K like on Fire Sticks or Apple TV, you could feel the heat that comes out of these devices when you're streaming true 4K, and traditional adapters will shut down and they just can't handle heat. So that's one of the things. Our circuitry and the housing is actually designed with an aluminum housing that dissipates that heat. And every adapter is certified by that organization. You know, we have HDMI has certified these products. So they're not just so-called knockoff products, right? They're really designed and certified by the organization. So, and then that's about it. I'm getting text here. Let's see what we got here. I don't know if someone's got questions or not, but all right. So
I was just saying, I got to sign out. I've been neglecting this customer event that I've been at, and people keep coming and asking for me. So I gotta jump off. But it was great to meet all of you guys, and I appreciate your time today. And you know, please hit us up on LinkedIn or at the website if you have any questions.
Thanks, Blake.
okay, well, on that note, I don't know if I have any other questions, but yeah, we'll definitely be promoting this. You know, buy a couple jars and get a free tool, and we'll get that prepared and out quickly. You agree, Dave? Yep.
Yeah, I agree. No, I do. I was just putting in the notes there that it's cost a bit unawares, but if anybody wants to take advantage of it, order the 2 tabs and put in the notes that you're wanting the free tool with it as well, and we'll get that sorted out. If anyone that does get the tool as part of that want the new tool when it comes out, then we will do a trade up for you on that if you want to, so that's not a problem. So don't worry about that. And thanks to everyone for coming along. It's been a really good turnout, and we'll get a pack sent out to you. They'll have sample ends as well that you can have a look at. And the guys are also giving a free set of flush cutters with it as well, which is really cool. And you get a mag, which is neat.
Yeah, and the flush cutter is very nice tool here. This is what, for attending today, everybody's going to get one of these flush cutters to help do, especially when you're working with these new load bars that we have. This will come in very handy, right? So that's our gift to everybody that attended today. So thank you.
Cool.
All right. Well, I am recording this. I will send you a copy of this, Dave, and you can, you know, post it on your site or however you want to work with it. So.
Well, send a sign-off email to everyone. I'll have a copy of the thing on it and all the details.
Okay. Well, excellent. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. My contact information, if you want to go to LinkedIn, you will be able to, you know, connect with me and Blake as well. And, you know, probably the best way, but another email too, if you want to get, is just sales at gosimplyconnect.com. You will reach Blake and me. That's a group email that goes to me and Blake. So if anybody's got any additional questions, we prefer you to run everything through Dave. But if you want to, you know, speak with us, we're an open book, man. We're here to help you. So we're manufacturers for AV installers. So that's what we do. So again, appreciate everything and thank you for the time and let me talk to you about our products. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot, Todd.
All right. Cheers.
Take care, mate.
Yep. See you.